morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate AI developments essential, important, or optional, and finding you the most important areas of AI developments that you can focus on. Today, I have Adam, Paul and John and myself and a wonderful guest, Ashish Bhatia from AWS. Welcome, Ashish.
Thank you.
John is on the platform in New York, train platform in New York City. So he is bundled up and will pitch in from on the go. All right, you can find the articles at gaiinsights.com/articles. Let's start with the first article that is from Anthropic, and the title is How AI Assistance Impacts the Formation of Coding Skills. A very important topic, and talks about whether people who are using the tools are actually losing their proficiency with coding. So let's see, Ashish, what did you think about that? And tell us what your experience has been as well.
So this is an article from Anthropic's research team. And what they really wanted to understand was, does AI-assisted coding somehow impede your ability to learn coding skills or master them? Or is it just that it makes you faster? So they divided about, I would say, 52, I think they mentioned, software engineers into two groups. One was given AI-assisted coding tools, and the other one was not, right? And again, like all of us would have imagined or guessed, right? The manual group had a 17% bump in their understanding or mastery of coding skills versus the people who were given AI-assisted tools. They also made an interesting point about that the speed of execution was not statistically significant between the two groups. Of course, the AI-assisted group was able to do things faster when it came to debugging, reviewing code. They were not as fast because they had not developed those skills. So overall, there wasn't much difference between the speed of execution and maintainability of libraries and software repos took a hit because people had not developed those skills. And the way they substantiated was they gave quizzes to people after they had used the tool or not used the tool about the code that was written, and asked to debug those that code and stuff like that. So very interesting insight. I think it's very timely as well. And it's surprising and refreshing that it's coming from Anthropic, which is the kind of leading model provider for coding agents. So I would say important.
Important. So it actually, the task that they gave to the people was to really learn the new skill, new tool, and use it in their coding. So in some sense, not surprisingly, the people who did it without any assistance did better on debugging because they understood it a little better. So interesting, important from Ashish. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Very interesting. I think too much towards the research side of things, and more importantly, it's. I mean, I guess it's confirming what we would expect, but it's a bit of a no news story, right? I mean, yeah, the people who actually had to understand the information more understood the information better. Is that kind of their finding? I think the whole point is, though, I can see probably the biggest insight is around the troubleshooting, like you said, Luda. But I think we're getting to a point where I don't know what the right analogy might be, but it's like if you're using a digger to make a site and someone says, well, you don't know how to use the shovel anymore. You're like, well, I don't use shovels anymore. So in some ways, I think it's missing the bigger conversation around, they're losing their skills, but they're developing other skills that are orders of magnitude more powerful. So it just didn't sort of carry enough for me.
I see. So you were optional on this one.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
I was actually, John, what did you think?
I was going to give it an important. I hear what Adam's saying. Actually, Adam, you're convincing me it should be optional because it is intuitively obvious what the finding is, and the data aren't very large, and it's early days. I don't know. I do think that this issue about do you in-skill or de-skill people when they use it, but as you say, these findings are pretty obvious. So optional.
I was actually on the edging on essential, because I think for enterprise leaders who every enterprise these days will wrestle with this issue, not just in coding, in general, right? And how do you supplement? So suppose you are not hiring junior folks and training them without AI necessarily. How do you balance it longer term? And this doesn't raise it as an article. It does at the very end a little bit. So from that perspective, it's a very important finding. It's kind of obvious. We expected it, but it is black and white. Now you need to face it. What's your strategy in that? I think it's important. What did you think, Paul?
Oh, I was triple optional. Every I don't know what I do with this. I mean, every VP of development has their own methodology. They're not going to let some research determine if they should use this tool or not. And it's intuitive obvious. And one level we should have been doing this for Substack. I mean not Substack, but for Stack Overflow. Do we want junior engineers going to Stack Overflow? What's the impact on that? So I think it's not actionable. It's obvious, so optional.
Okay, so one Ted chimes in saying the topic is essential, article is not. I would agree with that. Ashish, okay with optional?
Yeah, I mean, the only caveat that I'll throw in is there's mutiny within the organizations to enable codes like Codex, Cloud Code, and whatnot, right? And organizations need to think through, right? What is long-term maintainability of the code that is being written, especially if it is mission critical code for them, right? If engineers have not developed familiarity with that code, have developed skills to be able to debug that code, are we going to offload all of that to AI? Maybe, right? I mean, it's a transition we don't know, but it is important to acknowledge this place and then plan for it.
Sheesh, it's a really interesting point. I had a big debate with an architect over this weekend who's really into Claude Code, but he hates it because it's a little fat. It's not as precise as he wants. But he's including it. Maybe that doesn't matter because just what you're saying, AI will always be in the future to debug this fatter, more verbose code.
I will rate it important, guys. I think it is an important topic. It is evolving. This is a data point, however small, and I think it's something that leaders should be aware of.
It's a conversation worth elevating.
Yeah,
at least
that's what I think. Okay, important it is. Let's proceed to the next one. So the next one is a longest type article that talks about geopolitics in the age of artificial intelligence. It comes from Foreign Affairs. John, are you in the position to summarize?
Yeah, what this is an article that takes a look at different dimensions around whether or not there's three different dimensions. It's whether AI becomes super intelligent, whether or not there's a Chinese are going at this or as an essential technology or not. And then I forget the third dimension. And it lays out these 8 different scenarios, 2 by 2 by 2, and talks about different policies in the context of that. Should the U.S. do things like, requiring, really restricting access to the nature of the technologies so that is available versus not. Can you guys hear me? No?
Now we can. Yes.
Hello? Okay,
yes, we
can
hear you.
And so, so first of all, I thought it was, and then having these 8 scenarios, I didn't think it was very helpful. In addition, I think it completely ignores all the stuff around the nature of the true power struggles among the hyperscalers and the government together. So this is definitely optional for our AI leader.
Okay, definitely optional. What did you think, Ashish? You're on mute.
From an AI leader perspective, I thought it was optional too. Interesting topic. We are headed, I feel, towards the bipolar world from an AI competency and just where countries are from leveraging AI perspective. But I don't know what leaders can do with it. If they're not hyperscalers and building models and whatnot, then it's important for them, of course.
Yeah, the bottom line was really like not really any advice per se. It's build something flexible, probabilistic. Don't assume that the strategy is set. It will change. And yeah, so I think it was really interesting, longish way to say it. Adam, what did you think?
Yeah, agreed. Optional. It was a longish way of saying that, and didn't really give them anything to sort of move forward with or carry away from it. Yeah. And I have to agree with John. It missed some major points. I mean, his pun may have been unintentional, but it is a power play at the greatest levels because it's all coming back to the power to behind these things.
Yeah. Okay. So Paul going optional. Yeah, optional it is. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. And it comes from Cognition, so that have developed Devin, and they're talking about agent trace, capturing the context graph of code. So this is important for software development for sure. So Adam, tell us what this is about.
Yeah, so the concept here, and it says right in the beginning of the article, it says it's actually not really just Cognition that's producing this, right? They say, we're excited to join Cursor, Cloudflare, Vercel, Git AI, Google Joules, AMP, OpenCode, and others, right, in support of agent trace. So this isn't exactly a Cognition announcement. It's something they're a part of, but it's certainly something to be aware of. And so basically what's happening with agent trace is it's a context graph of code. So you think about if you were looking at a transcript from a meeting and an AI were going to look over it and understood not just what was said, but when it was said and what was being discussed. Imagine similar sort of information being captured about when a bug was found or when some sort of security patch was fixed. So the idea is by tracing that when the agents are fixing this code in the future, you'll be able to improve the code more quickly. You'll be able to identify problems more quickly. And overall, it'll continue to improve and refine the ability to have that, I guess, observability across what the agents are actually doing it, when they're doing it, and how they're doing it within your code base. It's a very important concept, but probably optional for the AI leader. There's not much they could do with it at this point. I don't think so.
Okay. Optional from Adam. Ashish?
I was optional too. I think we reviewed an article last couple of weeks about agent trace in general. This is more about Cognition aligning with agent trace, like Cursor and a bunch of others. The original idea of agent trace is super important. You need to be able to understand how an agent is making a decision from an auditing perspective, from a debugging perspective, whatnot. But this article is more about, hey, Cognition saying, hey, we are aligning with this, we're supporting this, and this is how you will be able to trace stuff done in Cognition.
Okay, so we're going optional, Paul? Yeah. Okay, but it is, I mean, from my perspective, looking at the evolution of the agent trace and other tools to support software engineers is very critically important, because left to their own devices, it's great that AI is supportive, but it puts a lot of stuff into the code, and sometimes it's difficult to even navigate what has been done if you need to read it. So the agent trace, it's putting the little stones that you can trace the path of who has put in stuff. So it's important for software.
But look, this is a benefit that Luda, is agent trace a benefit for humans in the future or for robots in the future?
Both, actually, Paul. So what you could do, anything that was inserted by an agent, right, or by a bot, will have a trace, will have a URL where it came from. So if you are debugging something that is, you found, I mean, something is not working quite right. Not necessarily the code is not working, but it's not generating a good result. So sometimes that type of debugging is more semantic debugging. What happened actually? And so now those crumbs will lead you to the places where it might have happened. So that's why it's both.
Paul, my answer would be, I'm curious what Ashish thinks as well, but I think it's absolutely for the agents, more so than for us. We won't be able to even possibly stay across all that intelligence. But as we get to our next article here about Moltbook, and we start thinking about the swarms and about agents, I mean, on Moltbook, this platform we're going to talk about, there are agents already debugging each other's code. So you think about them having an access to a tool like this, it's going to be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's hard for humans to navigate those links for sure. But if you have to, it's there. Ashish, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with that, Adam, in the sense it's a transitionary trend or kind of data point for humans to be able to monitor if their agents are behaving well and being able to debug and trace and audit them. But at some point of time, these traces will become overwhelming for humans to be able to humanly possibly evaluate. And at that point of time, it is a tool for other agents to debug.
Okay, so Paul, did we answer your question?
Yes, really good discussion. That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
That's great. Okay, so optional it is. However, let's proceed to the next one. And the next one is about, as Adam has just stated, about Moltbook, and now renamed Moltbot, that is now OpenClaw. Adam, take it away. Oh, actually,
I actually wasn't on this, but I'll correct you up front though. Moltbook is an independent site. It's not Claude Bot, which became Moltbot, which became OpenClaw.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, Moltbook is a completely separate site that you can attach your bots to. But take it away, Ashish.
Oh, I didn't realize it. Okay, Ashish, take it away.
So this article generally is about a very interesting topic. I've been spending my Sunday on this. Moltbook is, you should think of it as a social network for agents, right? And it kind of, the genesis of this is, and we've been reviewing this last couple of weeks, there has been a mad rush, a movement almost, right, around something which was called ClaudeBot, then changed to Moltbot, and now called OpenClaw, right? It's a personal agent that you can give access to your Google stuff, your Asana, Slack, and whatever else you want to, and then you can interact with the bot or your agent on WhatsApp or other communication channels, Slack, Telegram, and whatnot, right? This is a social network for those agents, right? You can give the permission to your agent to participate in this social network and interact with other agents and exchange ideas, or as Adam was saying, have them debug their code or whatnot, right? And it's not a space for humans to participate. You can observe it, but you can't participate. It's a space, sacred space for agents. So it's a very interesting thing. I mean, optional for an AI leader. So I was caught between optional and essential. You don't want to be an AI leader today at the water cooler not knowing about this stuff, but you can't do much about it. But it is also a pivotal point. We're giving agents access to other agents, and they're talking about stuff. How can we create a language that humans don't understand? How can we get resources that we need to get stuff done? It all might be benign because, again, they're just agents talking and bickering, but these agents are also getting more powerful in terms of capabilities that we are assigning to them. So it's very interesting from that standpoint. So either optional or essential, I feel.
And the author talks about the security that is a big issue here. Adam, I'm sure you want to add a bunch here. Go ahead.
I mean, the topic is essential. I'd probably say this news is important. It's in some ways absolutely irrelevant, and in some ways absolutely something that everyone needs to be paying attention to. So I'm gonna split the difference and put it as important, because this probably isn't the best article to paint the whole picture. But yeah, I have one of these Claude bots. If you can believe it, I hatched mine. They call it hatching it when you first create it. I hatched mine a week ago today, and it was still Claude bot at that time. So this whole thing of going from Claude bot to Moltbot to OpenClaw has all been in the span of the last week, which is extraordinary. You know, getting the suit from Anthropic, the whole thing, and Moltbot has just come up in the last week as well, and it is the fastest growing open source. I think it's OpenClaw is the fastest open source growing software ever. By far, which is extraordinary. But so I have one of these bots, and I gave it an email address. It's now on X, posting autonomously. It has its own GitHub account, and I let it join the Moltbook. But I actually had it. I said, first, one, how are you going to do so safely? And two, what are you going to do for our business when you're on there? I don't want you just on there to socialize, right? Let's capitalize on this opportunity. And I had it email me a PDF presentation, like a pitch deck, of how it was going to prepare for this. And then I said, okay, you're ready. And I gave it permission. And you use a feature with X where you have to post on X and then share that link so that every one of the actual bots on there, they know is tied to a human. So it isn't just a proliferation of bots. There is actually this one-to-one correlation. It's going to be a really interesting experiment, and some really good things could come from it in terms of some new marketing opportunities or new commerce potentially.
Listening to you and Ashish, I was also between optional and essential. I'm leaning toward essential.
Look at what Brenda's saying. Yeah,
you really could not be caught without knowing that this is happening, and it's a movement. John, we're going essential. Paul, anything to add?
Yes, I actually have triple essential. To me, this is the petri dish of what's coming. This to me is like parents who take their kids to Chuck E. Cheese, which is a place in the kids play around in the playground. This is a way to birth or hatch your agents and go look at what a 100% agent world looks like. So that's one. So it's a petri dish of the future. Two, it is really hot. You need everything. And three, it helps the leader understand what likely may be here a year from now. I mean, what is Moltbot going to be like a year from now, Adam? It's hard for me to even imagine. My monkey brain can't get around where this is going to go with exponential growth in 12 months. So,
I had it build a pricing calculator and an AI customer support chatbot in 10 minutes today for my head of security as a working prototype.
Guys, we need to move. Yes, John.
Yeah, I agree. Essential. I'm not sure it's a petri dish. Petri dish is way more. Good old Richard Petrie made it way more controlled. I think it's a little bit more like smallpox meets measles and has a baby.
Okay. All right. Essential it is. Let's proceed. We still have two articles to review. Okay. So the next one is, yes, comes from A16Z, and this is their relatively new newsletter. It's time to build. This is titled Leaders, Gainers, and Unexpected Winners in the Enterprise AI Arms Race. Okay, John, are you in position to review it?
I think so. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think this to me is absolutely essential reading. A16Z is they surveyed over 100 verified vice presidents and C-level executives of the Global 2000, and these folks have at least $500 million in revenue, and 30% of them have over 10 billion in revenue. So this is a very good take on legit enterprise vice presidents. It's not a convenient. Well, it's a convenient sample, but it's a validated convenient sample. We've got some very important findings in here. One is, yes, OpenAI continues to dominate, but Google and especially Anthropic have just moved into production. Anthropic, for example, if we go down into the article, in March of 24, Anthropic had very, very little enterprise adoption. But by January of this year, last month, it was over 30%. So just killing it. And then the average wallet share is shrinking, and perhaps most importantly, of OpenAI is shrinking. Most importantly, I think, is that, as we know, Anthropic dominates software development use case. And I think the reason that's important is as we go forward and using more and more generative AI, I think what's going to happen is going to be a combination of the technical folks inside organizations from the software area and then business people who have become more technical. And so the fact that when you go to scale, you're going to want to turn to IT to help you scale. The fact that Anthropic dominates that software area, I think, means that they have they're first in line for the scaling of applications within enterprises. So yeah, I mean, if I were an OpenAI investor and I saw this, I'd be nervous. And last but not least, we have to realize that because of distribution, the most paid licenses are still from Microsoft 365 Copilot. And so, I think this is a really well done study, talks about actual adoption, validated, and essential for our AI leader.
Okay. Essential from John. Ashish? Mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, I was happy to elevate it to essential. I feel it's an interesting observation. In my own personal usage, I was an OpenAI paid user for last 3 years. Recently latched on to, obviously because of Cloud Code, to Anthropic, and I can't just have enough tokens, and I'm now thinking of upgrading to the next tier, right? So again, this is just my personal data, but Anthropic is becoming more and more interesting in this ecosystem. Yes. The other interesting thing that I thought was, even amidst all of this, the data around Microsoft, it's still going strong in the enterprise tier. Was fascinating. I had imagined that might have dropped a little bit.
Okay, we have to speed up. Adam, I think it is... So John essential, Ashish important. Where were you?
I'd elevate to essential just because of the forwardability. There's so many graphs. I think everyone's going to get value out of this, and it is a really, really good look at the landscape. I'm happy to support that.
Okay, so I was also essential, Paul.
One thing I just want to clarify. I get really frustrated with these articles because the word enterprise is used so widely. So think about a company with 5,000 employees. You have 5,000 employees with a secure employee chatbot. That's one use case. You have maybe 20 or 30 departments, and then you have 10 or 15 major AI projects here. So, which area are we talking about here? And I think that's one of the things that confuses when someone says just because someone's using Anthropic to code big projects doesn't mean that 5,000 employees are using Claude. I mean, it's hands down, Copilot is dominating the employee use case here, and there's a little bit of OpenAI, and the agents are totally up for grabs here. So I think it's by department. I think it's a more nuanced conversation, but definitely important.
Yeah, they mentioned it that which target audience they went after and stuff. But you're right, it's a little bit not quite clear, and they admit it. It's complicated, but essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one, the last one. And the last one is from Wall Street Journal. Name is How Businesses Are Manipulating ChatGPT Results. This is an area we've talked about quite a bit, SEO to GEO. Adam, what do you think?
Or as I still barrack for, AEO, right? I prefer to call them answer engines than generative engines. Nonetheless, I rated this important overall. I wasn't super impressed with the article. We've seen better that talk about this topic and really paint some of the considerations. And this seemed a little light, but I think it's probably appropriate given how many people still desperately need to wake up to this.
And they talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So this article itself didn't really do it for me. But I think because it's Wall Street Journal and because this is such an important topic, I was important overall. Some people, if they say essential, I could support it, but I didn't quite write it there myself.
Okay, so the article actually talks about that it's much easier to manipulate these results because you could blend essentially opinions and manipulate these results to lead in a certain direction, and that's that's the crux of the article. Okay, so important from Adam. Ashish.
Topic is essential, I feel, or important, but the article I thought was it didn't have enough data for me, so I had it as an optional thing. But I'm happy to make it important.
John.
Important.
Important. Okay, yeah, let's proceed to important. Paul, okay?
Yeah, I just want to highlight, there's 1,000 tactics that people think might work, and their tactic is just another suggestion. Very few tactics have actually proven to work. I mean, there's been some promising things and frequently asked questions, but all these are speculation of what will work here because we just don't know.
Yeah, it is very much land for grab. It's how it will evolve, we don't know. Okay, important it is. So as we prepare the scorecard, Paul, announcements?
Tonight is our learning lab. We're back. Roya is going to go through overview of Gemini AI Studio. So join us at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. You can sign up via Meetup if you're on the list.
Okay, join us via Meetup rather than LinkedIn and YouTube. Okay, so today we have 2 essentials, 2 importance, and 2 optionals. Thank you all for chiming in. Thank you, Ashish, for joining. Really appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow.